about ready here. Okay, today is Friday, April the 5th, 2024. I'm Anthony Hill, along with my wife, Michelle Susbury Hill, and today we will be interviewing Mr. Horace Drisdale. We are here in person with him at his home in West Point, Texas. This interview is in cooperation with the Fayette County Historical Commission and part of an oral history collection that preserves the history of individuals, families, culture, and important events in Fayette County, Texas. And so we're very excited to talk with Mr. Drisdale today and share with you some of that history. So now we're going to start our conversation with our special guest. Okay, Mr. Drisdale, how are you doing today, sir?
Fine.
All right, all right. And so just a little bit of background about you. Where and when were you born?
Here, right here.
You were in West
We've
Point?
owned this place over 100 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. When were you born? What?
In 1934.
Okay. And just give us a little bit about tell us about your mom and dad.
My father, then they had rural schools here. And he was the principal of the rural school here in Plum for about 28 years. 29, maybe 30, a little bit over. And just prior to them closing these rural schools and uniting them all to LaGrange, to the high school, then it was Randolph High School, black school. He was the principal there.
What was his name? What was his name?
Willie Drisdale.
Okay.
Yeah. My mother was a deaf mute. She went to the DD&I in Austin, and there they taught. She got her degree in home economics there.
Okay.
But with her being a deaf mute, there was no positions here that she could do. So she was a full-time housewife.
Okay. Do you remember your grandparents?
Sure do. My grandfather and grandmother bought this land.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And who were they? What were their names?
Isaac and Melinda Drisdale.
Okay. And what about from your mom's side?
No, my mom was from Austin.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I remember my grandmother, she was a housewife, but her husband passed away, but grandfather passed away before I was born.
Okay.
So.
So growing up here, did you have any siblings, brothers and sisters?
I got one brother and 3 sisters.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
My oldest sister retired as a major in the Air Force.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, she probably led me. I was in the Air Force.
She was the first black flight nurse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Korea.
Oh.
She went in during the Korean conflict. My brother was Master Sergeant in the Army. He spent 24, 25 years in the Army. My other 2 sisters were teachers out in California.
Nice. Okay, so growing up during your early memories as a youth, what kind of things did you do, or what kind of things you do to have fun as a kid?
Oh, here we had a local baseball team. We'd go to see baseball games, and then in the fall of the year we'd go to LaGrange to see the high school play football, and the largest activity for us was going to church. We went to church. We went to Sunday school, and then it's not like now. You go to church, you only find a few old people sitting up in there. Occasionally you find one church that has a few young ones, a lot.
Right.
but now it's mostly elderly people. But back in the 40s, 50s, when you go to church, they had 2 services. They had one at 11 o'clock, they stopped, they served dinner, and at 3 o'clock you had evening service.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a big day. People looked forward to going there, you know.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why the service stopped, they had it at 3, but in the summer, the days are longer.
Mm-hmm.
See, they'd be out by 4:30 or 5. A lot of the younger people would go to the ball game.
Okay.
You know, go see. Some would visit people, and they, you know, because then there were more people in the rural blacks. See, some were sharecroppers, some of them farmed. Then you had railroad workers, and then back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, cotton was king in this country. And younger people, until they finished school, would work. That when the rural would work in the fields.
Mm-hmm.
But after they finished, they migrated to the city or either to college or some other place, you know.
Oh, okay.
Or go in the military,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And today, there are a limited number of blacks in these small towns.
Yeah.
Because
During your school years, classes. What kind of classes did you have during school? In school,
we had regular classes just like high school, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But when we entered high school, we had agriculture, and then they had home economics, and the ag teacher would teach not only education, but he taught carpentry. He taught, he teach how to build and stuff, you know. Now schools have this vocational education, where you can learn those trades. And ag teachers strict to agricultural science whatsoever.
I have a question. Do you remember the local baseball team that you all played for?
This was a Plum, I don't know what the name was, it was Plum.
Okay.
See, each one of these little towns, Fayetteville had a team. Smithville, Schulenburg, Taylor, they'd go as far as Taylor to play. Different teams would come in and play. In World War II, Camp Swiss came to Plum and played. And we beat them.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But every town around here had a baseball team. And see, the largest, like Smithville, LaGrange, Schulenburg, they had football teams. Well, in the fall of the year, they'd go to the football games,
Right.
And then when they built the gymnasiums, they'd go to the basketball games,
And you played on the baseball team?
I was too young.
Did you do sports at all?
I played football in high school.
Okay. So what was the high school name you went to?
Randolph.
Was that Randolph?
Yeah.
In LaGrange?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now during your high school, after high school, what did you do after high school?
I went to college for 2 semesters, and then I went in the Navy.
Okay. Where did you go to college?
At Houston-Tillotson College.
Okay.
My mom.
Yeah, that was the first year integrated.
Okay.
See, my father and I had a little bit of conflict. See, my uncle, him, and my 3 aunties on the Drisdale side all went to Prairie View. My 3 sisters graduated from Prairie View, And he wanted me to go to Prairie View, and I didn't care for the school. I'm gonna tell you the truth. So it seemed like things wasn't working right with me going up there. So when I left there, I went to Detroit and stayed with one of my sisters for a while.
Okay.
And after that, I entered the Navy, and I stayed there 5 years.
Oh, wow.
I came back, and then I went to Prairie View, but I majored in agriculture.
Okay. Okay.
But then, you know, Prairie View didn't allow you to have a car. Oh no, you couldn't. But the only way I'd go is I had to have me a car so I could leave. You know, it's sitting out there in the country.
Right.
So I got a car, I went down there. I had a lot of battles about the car being there, but I managed to keep it.
Okay.
Right.
Well, what time frame was that? What years do you remember?
I went there in 1959, after I got out of the military.
Okay. Okay.
And after I finished there, I went to Washington, D.C., and I worked in agricultural research. And I got a chance to transfer back to Texas to the Soil Conservation Service. And I worked with it for 30 years. I worked level land, and I came to LaGrange. Then I went to Rosebud, Texas and worked. I went back to Lubbock and worked. And then I went to Houston, I worked there, and then I retired down in the valley. There were several other little counties I worked in for a few months, you know, but not permanent, you know. I worked, the 5 years was the most I stayed in one place, you know. And there, believe me, but it was rough.
Yeah.
Because we were the first to work with a lot of these Caucasian farmers.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And not only we had a battle with them acceptance, we had a battle with our co-workers, those white co-workers.
Mm-hmm.
Any little mistake we made was a black mark, but they could make worse thing, do worse thing, and they got by with it.
Mm-hmm.
And toward the end, they started hiring women to work. And I remember I was working with one. They just promoted them and give them any kind of break. They didn't have any knowledge of what, most of them didn't have what they were doing, you know. But it was, that's, you know, you're breaking away. Now, this town, I worked here for a while. This town now have blacks in that office. When I was working, I was the first black to come here. And then there were one, five whites and me.
Okay.
And what office was that?
Huh?
What office was that?
This here, the Soil Conservation Service here in LaGrange.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
But any mistake you made, and I can remember when I first started working, now this can get you fired, this can, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
The threat of that. And
then when I went to Rosebud to work, there was a paraprofessional. He was a technician.
mm-hmm.
I was hiring him. Our supervisor, instead of him coming down in sequences with all of our names, he put his name up next to his, you know, and me out there. It was a mess.
Yeah, you had challenges back then, but you overcame that, survived that,
A lot of things.
and had a
Yeah.
successful career,
Mhm.
and that's good. That's a
Did
good
you
thing.
grow up in LaGrange?
I was born and raised here.
Right here.
Yeah, right here, right under that live oak tree right back there.
Was your father
Can't-
your principal?
Huh?
You mentioned your father being the principal. Did you attend that school?
I went to there till the 8th grade under him.
How was that?
That was pretty good, pretty rough as far as being this. Your father. But the elementary teacher there, he had 2 other teachers under him. Now, I enjoyed them, but when it come to his, I didn't get no.
You didn't get a break, did you?
Do you think schools have changed a lot since you were in school? How has it changed, or what differences do you see in it? Was it for the better? Because I know you experienced some changes within your time as far as school and watching others. Was it for the better, you think, or what? Can you explain and tell us about the changes?
The things that I went through working with USDA, soil conservation, it wasn't like that when I worked with USDA in Washington, D.C. I see it more so now toward young blacks than any place, I hate to tell you, but a young black male has got troubles, a lot of troubles, see. And I don't know what's going to happen, but shoot, the opportunity, he's going to have a hard time getting started. Now, I can give you an example. Right here in this county, let's see, there's a gravel pit right here you can see, and then there's 1, 2, 3. There's 4 gravel pits right here in this plum area. I see quite a few black owner-operator drivers coming in there hauling gravel and sand. They go to San Antonio, Austin, Houston. They make good money at that. But every man can't go and borrow no money. Like they had to get a sponsor to push them to get them the money. But you take the average white, they're gonna help him to get up. The black man has no help now. He has to do it on his own.
Yeah.
You know that. You've seen it.
Right.
And you find more women, they're beginning to do better in sports than ever. Now, black fella in football, they ring a bell. There's more millionaire black men than anything. But baseball, no. That's because of Little League. They don't get a chance to play Little League with the Little League as they come up.
Wow.
And when they get older, there are no all-black baseball teams. Now you've noticed that they're always pushing and talking about the history of them back when the Negro League and all of this. But whenever you find a black that's in baseball, he's a star.
Okay.
See,
Okay.
but back in 50s, Jackie Robinson, Roy Campanella, Don Newcomb, Satchel Paige, what's this other man? He was with Cleveland, and then behind them became Willie Mays and all of that bunch, They kind of opened it up a lot, see. But it's just,
Yeah.
You got a few black doctors, but most of them, they go north.
That's true.
You can't, they
Mhm.
can't make it down here.
Mhm. That's true. That's true.
Tell us about your work with the cemeteries.
Well, most of the Drisdale family is buried out there.
And that's Mount Olive where they're buried?
Right. A large percentage of them. On the Drisdale side, my grandfather and grandmother's buried down at Mount Zion. Also, my father and mother, this is a cemetery right not far from here. And I've got two aunties that's buried there. But all the rest of them, the Drisdales and Washingtons, they're all out there in Mount Olive. Now, on my mother's side, the Horace, they're buried in Austin. See, all of my mother's relatives, see.
Okay.
But this cemetery was abandoned almost. And I was shocked when I approached now that, Knights of Columbus is Catholic, right?
Right, right.
There's two groups of Knights Columbus that's working out there to help clean that cemetery. And the veterans of foreign wars from Rodney, Texas, Red Rock or something like Red Rock.
Okay. Okay. I wanted to ask, as we were coming up, and when you gave us your address, it's called Drisdale Road, and that's the same as your last name.
Yeah.
So does that name have any significance in this whole area, this community, or how did you get the road to be named Drisdale Road?
After my father retired, he helped all races, and president of First National Bank, Bombach, was M.A. Bombach. He's dead now. But I used to talk with him quite often. He used to tell me about his father and about my father, If he had a problem at the bank and he wanted them to do it right away, he'd tell them quick. If they tell him, oh, well, we got to, oh, that's all right. I go get that lawyer from Plum. He was talking about my father. He wasn't an attorney, but the highway patrol, the sheriff, all of them, they respected him. He was pretty well known here.
Okay.
And they named the road after him.
Nice. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
And you live on the road.
Huh?
And you're living on that road.
Yeah. Now, I've had whites tell me this, that when election time came, a fellow wanted to get reelected. Now, this is before integration. There were certain people, things, requirements for him to get elected here. You had to be a Democrat. You had to know certain people. And they named my father, say, you have to get him, because he'll pull the black votes to you,
Mm-hmm.
See?
Mm-hmm.
So he had quite a name for himself here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, out in this community, were there any stores or old time stores, or where did you guys do
Beer joints.
just stuff like that?
Yeah, you had in Plum, they had the Hillside Cafe, and they had Dewdrop Inn, and they had the Cozy Corner was a place out in out from Plum, and then they had E&M Club. They had rodeos out there. They had dances and all.
Mm.
Right there in Plum. B.B. King played there.
Wow. Okay.
Then they had, I don't know what the club was. One other one was there in Plum. But these were the different intervals.
Mm-hmm.
In LaGrange, Ben Davis Cafe, you know, Ben Davis owned the funeral home in Columbus.
Right.
He had businesses all through in here.
Mm.
He had the downtown cafe. Yeah. He had Ben Davis's cafe up in town. Then up a little further was a Silver Star, you see. And then they had one out going on Highway 71. Eddie Willard's place. He had a blue room, a swanky little club. And right across the road from it was True Heart Taylor's place. Going out in the Holman area, you had Miss Ola Mae Homer had a place. Mr. Zachary had a place out there. And Arthur Dobbins had a big place. He had a rodeo baseball field and all out in there. Yeah. So that were big times.
Yeah. I bet those rodeos were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh. One of the things I wanted to get into now, over the time that you lived out here, how has things changed from years ago to how they are now in this area? I know it's been a whole lot.
There's been a lot of changes. Now, if you want, the black race was hurting, integration hurting. Blacks because of jobs, see. Now, if you qualified and trained for a job, you could get it, but you had such a hard time holding it. They do anything they can to step on you, you know. Take the school here. They did have 3 black teachers. I don't know whether I'm not too up on it. It was Mr. Crosby, Mrs. Crosby, 4, Miss Roberta Moore, and Mrs. Overton, you know, when they first integrated. But now I don't know whether there's any black teachers in there. See? Okay. And you still do see, you know, the paper tells a story on the top. You know, I hate to say this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess it'll be that way with all of these little towns for a while.
Yeah.
I know when I worked I lived in Rosewood, Texas, the black part of town wasn't paved. I was in a meeting one day and one old white fella got up and he said, "It'll be ice water in hell before we put any gravel pavement over on across the track, you know." But the last time I went up there, all of it's paved now, see. But what made them pave them is these grants, see. They get that free money. Well, they had to do just as much for the blacks.
Okay, right.
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 See.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I give you a good example now. We may be going off. So look at Prairie View. They united with A&M. Look how it's growing. TSU would not unite with UT. Look at the difference in it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what are some things that are on a united front? Like a lot of times when we talk about sports, we all can come together no matter where you are. People can talk about sports and have a good time. What are some things in LaGrange that it didn't matter and you could talk about it and no matter color, whatever, everybody was in agreement on that? Was it anything in LaGrange that you can think of growing up or now or past that say, oh, when we talk about this, we agree on that?
That's a difficult one to answer, I'm going to tell you that. I can tell you this much, and this happened all through the South. In the smaller towns, it wasn't who you are or what you are, it's who they accepted and cared for.
What we were going to talk about was technology. You remember when you first came in contact with radio and TV, and now today it's cell phones and GPS,
internet and all of that.
and all that stuff.
Yeah, I can remember we had car battery and a car radio in the house.
Wow.
You know,
Okay.
that was in the 40s. See, I was small then. I was born in '34. See, and the war broke out. But I remember my grandfather and grandmother turning it on, and they sat up all night listening to the radio when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about TV?
TV came in the 50s. And TV really can hurt you and it can help you, see. If people would look at like your History Channel, educational stuff,
Right.
but these stories, Edge of Night and all of that stuff, you know, that's not helping you any, you know. And the major thing they look at now is sports.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch TV as a kid?
Yeah, when I was at home, but during the summer, well, after I finished high school and everything, we didn't have TV, but well, in my last year of high school, they had it. But I had to chop cotton and pick cotton. I couldn't sit there and get here at night. You're tired. You go to sleep. Mm-hmm. My father and mother sat up there and looked at it. No.
Mm-hmm. And even back then, I know even during my time, you know, we only had a few networks, and then it went off by midnight.
Yeah.
TV was off, and now you got hundreds of things you can look at,
Yeah.
and you can just go all night long.
And they got all these old sex movies on them now, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's just everything's everything's out there.
Yeah.
Everything's out there. But what has you look back over life? What is you giving you the most satisfaction in life now? You go all the years. What are you most satisfied with in life?
Now, I'm looking at living as long as I can. But I never did like the city. And when I retired, now the one place that I enjoyed, and well, two, I could go back to Detroit and live.
Really?
It was nice out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, only fallacy out there was the snow. But I could live in the valley.
Yeah.
The valley, and if the climate is right, everything. The only thing, when they burn that sugar cane down there, it works on your sinus.
Oh well. Okay. Yeah. Is there anything else you haven't talked about today you'd like to add or include?
Well,
or
I
talk
like
about?
to fish and hunt.
Okay.
You know, as you can see, I got that
Yeah.
powerful rifle.
Yeah. So you've been hunting since all your life?
Yeah, I hunt all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah. What's one of the biggest game do you hunt?
I like to. I'm a bird hunter. I love to shoot doves, quail,
Okay.
pheasants, you know, ducks.
Do you eat them?
Oh yeah. You know, like geese.
Mm-hmm.
I'm single. What I look like killing a big deer. Now I'm gonna tell you, if I kill one,
Let us know.
all right, I'm gonna tell you,
Let us know.
you got to clean it. You got to get it all dressed. And then once you get it all processed and everything, it's against the law to sell wild game meat. You give people, they don't appreciate it, you know.
I didn't know you couldn't sell it. Oh, wait, yes.
You can't sell that wild game. You have to have a permit to sell it, you know. Same way about fishing. I've caught fish, and I know it's more than that, but I'm going to take them. Why didn't you clean them? You know. So, you know, people don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, look.
So are there any wild hogs out here?
Plenty of them. Plenty of them.
Ooh,
And we need to leave before dark.
They're everywhere.
yeah. Because I
Do
hear
you
they.
shoot them and eat them?
Huh?
Do you shoot them and eat them?
No, I wouldn't. Number one, the rural areas growing with people who come out of the city. They got mobile homes, they got homes, see. And they got, here lately they got these aerobic septic tanks, but prior to that, most of them got just a regular septic tank. When that affluent water spills off, it goes into a creek. That creek runs into the river. See, hogs like water. They'll go there and root in that creek and lay in it and drink it. See, now he roots for worms and herb roots and things. These farmers put all this expensive fertilizer down, anhydrous ammonia and everything, see? Now, you want to eat that meat?
Mm. Mm. That's a good point.
This river here, it doesn't clear up until you get to Columbus.
Wow.
All the chemicals and the fluent water comes out of Austin, Bastrop, Smithsville, and LaGrange is turning loose. Well then, the congestion of the population is heavy in this area, is fully polluted. You get down below Shaw's Bend, just going in, that's when it starts clearing up. And from there all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico is good
Mm.
fishing.
Wow. Oh, yeah. But then the fish can
So
A lot of
fish
these
is no
people eat
good,
them,
but it's no
but
good.
I wouldn't.
yeah. Well, the fish would even when they flow down stream to Columbus from here.
Fish travel upstream.
Ah, see that?
They come up.
Okay.
But when you open up a catfish, but all of them, the fat in them is yellow. You know, it's a yellowish color. But those full of those chemicals is a bright, shiny yellow. You know? See, because all those chemicals, they store them into that fat. But that lean meat, what you eat, is full of chemicals too.
Mm.
You don't see bullfrogs in the river anymore up here.
Mm.
When I was growing up, we used to go frog hunting. We catch them some, bring them back, and my mother would fry the legs. That was good eating. You don't see them anymore.
Wow.
because of the chemical stuff. You don't even hear frog, turtle. Now we are getting a lot of alligators coming up this way. They're coming in. See?
Wow.
That's because they don't like moving water. You notice where they're heavily populated in Louisiana, they're in these bayous. There's a difference in a bayou and a creek. A creek is moving, while bayous, water moves slow. They want slow moving water. They like to dig down in, and when it gets cold and hibernate, they come up and they feed, you know. And they're scavengers,
Okay.
you know. Why are you laughing?
That thing keeps scaring me.
Okay. Well, we don't have any more questions. Any more questions? We'd like to thank you for your time with that,
Yeah.
and appreciate you giving us a little background about your family, your ancestry, your little history here in the journey.
Oh.